The same assistant your team uses for quick answers is starting to sell ads. If your growth depends on that traffic, you just got a new landlord.
Hey, it is Tuesday, February 10th. AI is sliding into default workflows at scale, and the business models are showing up in the interface. OpenAI just started testing sponsored ads inside ChatGPT. Ads are labeled and shown separately from the assistant's answers, and it is rolling out to some free and go users in the US. OpenAI's line is, ads are labeled and separate from AI responses, aiming to keep ChatGPT free.
Fine, but who pays when this breaks the user experience? I have lived through clearly labeled turning into, why did our support tickets spike 40% after the redesign? If my product gets signups from ChatGPT mentions, I want to know whether I am about to be pushed under an ad or next to an ad that makes my brand look sketchy. Put it in writing. What gets shown where, and whether I can opt out.
If I were running growth for a startup that benefits from ChatGPT traffic, the first thing I would change is my assumptions in the model. Treat that traffic like rented attention, because it is about to be priced. And I would start building a paid tier that does not rely on free assistant referrals staying stable, because ads change incentives fast. Honestly, I do not know how aggressive they get this year, but the math says subsidizing compute with ads lets them compete harder on price.
I can work with ads if the rules are predictable. I cannot work with, we changed the layout and my pipeline falls off a cliff, and nobody can tell me why. If you are counting on assistant-driven discovery, diversify now, before the quarter closes.
That shift in incentive shows up even harder when the assistant is the front door to a device. Apple is reportedly shipping a beta Siri upgrade next week that uses Google's Gemini under the hood. If it is real, that puts a much stronger conversational assistant inside iPhones, and it changes how users start tasks, especially for simple repeat actions. Distribution moves from app icons to ask the phone.
I have a practical question. Who on your team owns Assistant First when it cuts across product and support? Because the first week this ships, customers will say, Siri told me it would work, and your agents will be staring at a ticket with no screenshot. Also, if voice becomes the entry point, your onboarding copy and your help center have to survive being paraphrased by an assistant. That is a new kind of brand risk.
Adoption becomes measurable in changed user paths, not conference hype. This works if your product has one or two high-frequency actions that are easy to describe out loud, like schedule or track. It breaks if your core value requires a complex setup, because assistants are impatient and users are too. If I were a founder, I would pick one workflow where a user already knows what they want. Then I would make that flow resilient to partial information, because voice requests are messy. Okay, I have to admit, if Apple really makes Siri competent, a lot of consumer products get a second chance at being discovered.
I will believe it when the assistant can handle the ugly edge cases without dumping the user into a dead end. But yes, if your product has a do this for me moment, you should design for it before your competitor does.
Now zoom from consumer interfaces to regulated operations. Goldman Sachs is embedding Claude agents into high-volume back-office work like accounting and compliance, with Anthropic as the partner. The stated goal is faster internal cycle times on work that normally crawls through queues.
Goldman does not do this because it is fun. They do it because someone promised a measurable reduction in cost per case, and someone else promised audit trails that survive an examiner. If you sell into regulated buyers, your demo is not the product. The product is the paper trail, who approved what, and who gets paged at 2 a.m. when the agent does something weird.
On Monday, take your agent pitch deck and replace one slide with a single number you can stand behind, like minutes per case or error rate, plus the proof you can show an auditor. Keep it narrow. One workflow, one owner, one way to review actions before they hit real systems. Promising automation is cheap, but shipping a system that leaves tamper-proof records is what gets you through procurement.
That is the bar now. If Goldman is doing it, your buyer will ask why you cannot. bring receipts, or do not bring the agent. If ChatGPT ads expand, do you pay for distribution or build your own channel?
This is readme.ai from Chain of Thought. See you tomorrow.